Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things. And we see them today. We got a pretty hilarious show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want today's full show before it comes out, it is streaming for free on the Dreamers Pro podcast. We have pinned below. Anyway, let me get into this topic. So yesterday, we produced a show, right? And it's a show that's doing fairly well on our page, and it was centered on some comments that Brian Windhorst made on ESPN when he was reacting to what Shaq and Allen Iverson spoke about on the big podcast. During the sit down between Shaq and Allen Iverson, they were beginning to talk about the current NBA in terms of scoring and everything. And Shaq asked AI how many points does he think he could score in this current NBA, and AI said he believed he can get up to 43, right? So they then brought those comments to the panel on ESPN First Take the following day, and on that day, the moderator obviously was Molly Karam, and then you had Brian Windhorst and Tim Legler. And when it came time for them to talk about it, Brian Windhorst just totally dismissed Allen Iverson in terms of him even having a chance to do it. So for those of you who didn't hear what he had to say, I want to quickly play for you now and then come back and continue. Take a listen to what he had to say originally.
I don't think so. Look, I love AI, man. Nobody respects more what he did and what he accomplished at his size. Here's why. There's a couple reasons why he wouldn't get to that number. First of all, we can't just start playing around with numbers like, it's easy to get there. Since Jordan's 2 big years he had late 80s, it's been 35 years since then. Only 2 guys have even gotten to 35 in a year. Kobe did it once, Harden did it once. Maybe Embiid could have done it potentially this year if he didn't get hurt. So it's just a very difficult number just to get to 35, much less get to 40. And now you're talking to 43. So that's the first reason. Secondly, the usage rate would not be allowed. You just wouldn't be allowed to do that because of the way that they view these players and what they're doing with them on an average night. The usage rate you'd have to get to 40-plus points per game, there's no way an organization would allow that to happen. And then finally, you need to incorporate the three-point shot to a greater degree. That wasn't really his strength. That's not what he wanted to do. He didn't take a lot of them, and he shot around 31% when he did take them. That would have to be a big part of your game to average those kind of numbers as a guard. That's not what the league looks like anymore, Winnie. That's not even what's considered a quality shot, a mid-range or a shot at the rim. Teams hunt three-point shots. That's what they do. So that didn't really necessarily jive with the way AI played, and I just don't think any team would have a guy out there. He averaged 41 minutes a game 11 times in his career for a season. There's just no way. You're playing 35 minutes a night, you're not getting to that number. So I hear what he's saying. It sounds logical. The reality is that's just not going to happen.
Before I get flamed by Iverson fans, I just want to say, of course, if AI was playing in his prime today, his game would be different, and he would take advantage of the defensive rules, although nobody got fouled in that era more than AI because he knew how to get fouled, and he might get to the line less. But before I say that, he obviously would not 100% be apples to apples. That said, if AI played today, he would be heavily criticized. He would be way more heavily criticized about his style of play than he was then because he was a low efficiency player. Now, at the time, the entire league was sort of more lower efficiency, and the 76ers were built to have sort of 4 strong defensive-minded guys who couldn't play offense around him and then give him the ball and let him go to work. It wasn't because it was a character flaw or anything like that. But if you go look at the way he played a lot of minutes and just chucked a lot of shots. And if 41% of them went in, it was considered a good job. That would not fly in today's game. You look at Embiid. Embiid was averaging 35 points before he got hurt on 22 shots in 33 minutes. That's unbelievable. It's one of the greatest efficiency seasons of all time. The year that AI won the MVP, he averaged 26 shots for 31 points. Shot just 41% from the field. I think actually 42% from the field. AI would not be afforded to have as much of a control of the offense in today's game if he wasn't a more efficient player. And I'm not saying he wouldn't be. Maybe he would be. But AI thrived in that era. In this era, he wouldn't be able to do that. And as you said, Legs, I don't think they'd give him the ball as much, because if you only shot 42%, you wouldn't be allowed to take 26 shots a game.
Fantastic. So that's what he had to say. And after he said that, NBA players took to Twitter to basically respond to him, and they let him have it. Carmelo Anthony said, they will always find a way to discredit you, and as we're showing this to you. Shady McCoy says, shaking my head. If you can't do push-ups or sit-ups, you can't have an opinion on athletes on TV. Another person said, Matt Barnes said, shaking my head. These hot takes for attention are getting ridiculous. Another person said, Ross Strickland, please understand the difference between basketball knowledge and entertainment. We are giving so much time to non-basketball people. This has to be a joke. Please stop the buffoonery. AI would have been AI in any goddamn era. Hold that. It didn't stop there. Waiters, I think it's Deion Waiters. He says, shaking my head. AI would be unstoppable in today's game. Point blank, period. Matt Barnes chimed in again. Low efficiency because guys were playing defense. So that's what he said. Then what happened? The next day on ESPN, they were talking about it. And this time they brought on Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith to basically address this conversation. And then when it came time for Brian Windhorst to respond, Kendrick Perkins almost lost it on Brian Windhorst. And we want to show some stills as Kendrick Perkins was actually covering his face. So for those of you who didn't hear this exchange, we want to play for you now. And we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to that there.
Oh, my Lord. He would have averaged 43. I ain't going to tell you his percentage would have been above 45%, but he'd average 43 because he would have been shooting all night long, and he would have been in constant attack mode, and there was nothing that anybody would have wanted to do. You thought Matthew Dellavedova needed to go to the hospital chasing Steph Curry. Imagine what people would have needed to go to the hospital chasing around Allen Iverson. Lord have mercy. Yes, he would have averaged 43.
Look, I'm not saying anything bad about a legend who helped carry the NBA when Michael Jordan retired. But if we're going to talk about how things are different today, we have to talk about both sides of it, which is why he wouldn't average 43. Because, number one, they wouldn't let him play over 40 minutes a game, Stephen A. You know that. They'd have him down 35, 36 minutes. Secondly, he wouldn't be allowed to take 27 shots if he was shooting 41, 42%. I know what you're saying about the hand checking, but he was a volume scorer, and in today's day and age, volume scoring is out. Nobody wants a volume scorer. If you're a volume scorer,
but he would have had easy lates
and third, true, but he also got to the foul line a lot. I know they didn't call everything, but a big part of this game was getting to the foul line. He did benefit from that. The other thing I'll say is, at the other end of the court, they would target him like crazy in switches that he got away with back then when he had a defensive-based team and the game was played differently and they could protect him. They could protect him also because of the way they could play defense. He would be an absolute dead red target on defense, which would be hard to have him out there. His talent is unquestioned. He could stand next to Steph Curry and all those guys. But if you're going to play the game about today and talk about today's rules, you got to talk about both sides.
Wendy.
He would have averaged 43, Wendy.
God bless him.
And he would have played more minutes. I'm telling you, you wasn't going to be able to sit him down. It would have been a problem.
But he wouldn't average it.
Wendy, he would average 43 in today's game, okay? We're talking about a guy that led his team to the NBA Finals when it was boxes and elbows, when it was a level of physicality that was unmatched. Do you know what
I know, and he shot 31% on threes.
So what? But that's the problem. That has nothing. We keep diving into these analytics. We keep diving into these field goal percentages. We keep diving into these cameras on the floor and what guys are saying. No, he could hoop. The eye tests tell me that Allen Iverson would have gave people that work in today's game. That's what Big Perk eyes say, that the league does not play defense like they did back in the day. Forget the numbers. My eyes tell me differently.
So you heard the exchange there. A lot of people came after Brian Windhorst yesterday. A lot. Not just NBA players, creators. Everyone was talking about it. Too Raw for TV, Too Raw for Sports. He was talking about it. A lot of people came for him, right? And I just want to give you guys some information because he just totally dismissed Allen Iverson in terms of his efficiency. I want to give you guys some players in the NBA today that are, guards. Let's talk about them. You ever heard of a guy called Trae Young? Yeah, Trae Young, he plays for the Atlanta Hawks. Let's look at his numbers. Trae Young this year is attempting 19 field goals a game. He's shooting 42.6% from the field, 37% from the three. Are those Hall of Fame numbers? I mean, if we're talking about his field goal shooting efficiency, AI was shooting higher than that. And he's talking about Trae. If you shot 42%, they would bench him. Trae Young is taking damn near almost 20 shots a game. Have they benched him? Let's look at another point guard. Let's look at Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard this season, although his attempts per game are down, he's attempting 17.5 points per game, shots per game. He's scoring 24.6 points per game on 42.1% shooting, 33.9% from the three-point line. Let's look at the year before. The year before he shot 46. The year prior to that, when he scored 24 points per game, he was shooting 40% from the field. And that season, he was attempting 19 shots. The year before that, he shot 45%. He was attempting 20 shots a game. So clearly, there are guys in the NBA that have a green light. Let's look at somebody else. Let's look at Russell Westbrook. You ever heard of Russell Westbrook? You know when Russell Westbrook was at Oklahoma City Thunder? One season, he averaged 31.6 points per game, while getting you 10 rebounds, 10 plus assists. That year he averaged a triple double. He shot 42% from the field, and he was attempting 24 shots a game. So they let all of these guys play. Why wouldn't they let Allen Iverson play? And one can make an argument that Allen Iverson, from a skill standpoint, is more skilled than all of those guys. You can make an argument for that. He's arguably more skilled than Damian Lillard. He is more skilled than Trae Young. And he's probably more skilled than Russell Westbrook, although Russell Westbrook can do other things in terms of energy. But AI also had a motor too. AI can play damn near an entire game. So that was a bad take. It was simply a bad take. It was too simplistic. Too simplistic. He's like, oh, well, they'll hunt him on pick and rolls on switches. They hunt almost all so they don't hunt Trae Young. They don't hunt Damian Lillard. Like, what are we talking about here? Those dudes ever made all defensive teams? Like, are you kidding me? They're guys that can score a lot of points, but they can't defend the ball for a lick. Luka Doncic is more efficient. Obviously, Luka can't defend. So I don't know. That was a bad take, and I think that's the reason a lot of people came for him. I think he should have avoided saying that, and that's the reason he's getting roasted. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.